slowly start. So welcome to the last sessions of the day and the final sessions, the final public sessions of Compulsive Desires, this intensive and immersive days of research and study and discussion that have been organized by architect Marina Otero in dialogue and in close collaboration with the different speakers who took part in the program. And this afternoon session, or better even two sessions, will be, I imagine them somehow to start bringing a round end to these collective discussions that will then continue privately tomorrow morning. The first of which is with Godofredo Pereira, who we have the honor to have in Portugal these days for this encounter. As I mentioned the other day, you will have the bios on your pages, so I'm not going to make a very extensive presentation, just mentioning that Godofredo is head of environmental architecture at the RCA, at the Royal College of Art in London, where he also studied, having been involved with an important collective of members who are associated under the name of forensic architecture, where he developed the Atacama project. And in association with that and continuing, Godofredo has been researching the implications, the problematics, and the material and immaterial histories and stories connected to forms of extraction, namely and centrally the lithium extraction. And with his talk on lithium dreams, he will exactly share with us his visions and his ideas. So, yeah. Thank you, Godofredo.
Thank you, Philippa. Thank you very much. It's a very kind introduction. We started this several days ago, so it was really intensive, and I'm quite tired, and particularly today's session has been challenging. But I would like to repeat myself to thank Marina Otero for organizing this event, which has had incredibly beautiful moments. I'm so happy to be able to join and participate a bit and contribute with what I can. And of course, I thank Marina, but I thank the entire team that made this possible, and that, and all the labor, effective but actually physical labor, of getting us through these days. So thank you very, very much. For those that were here, not only this morning, but in the past few days, you will know that I've been flirting in between mentally two presentations that I wanted to do now. And I couldn't come to a resolution, so I'll do both of them. Not quite. I think I'm going to do a presentation on my work on resource extraction, and not so much on my work, on certain observations that I've done in terms of collective processes that take place in the resistance to extractivism and in resistance to that immense violence. But I cannot but show two slides from this presentation, which was, the original idea for this session, because they're necessary slides in the follow-up of some of the debates that we've had this afternoon. And this is one which I feel is fairly self-evident. And this is somewhere in the end another slide. And this is demonstration that took place in 2000 and I should have the date in the image, I don't, 2016 at the time of the signing of the Corfu Agreement in Salar de Atacama. So the gist of the entire presentation was the relationship between the color white as a pacifier, but also of immense whiteness that's at stake in the green transition, and the black to which the entire world is conscribed. But so to the actual presentation then. I could not but mention that slide. So before I start, and it's kind of a continuous flow, just to contextualize this, this is a work that I've been doing for approximately 10 years of just bringing together a few observations of modes of relating to the earth, modes of being of the earth and with the earth, and different, let's say, how different types of relationships in and through the earth are recomposed in the resistance to that immense violence, which is, in the words of Eduardo Galeano, 500 years of open veins in Latin America, las venas abiertas. For many years it was as eternal snow, careful of what lies underground. In the hypnotic aridity, the dead were still alive to tell the story. 1978. The bodies of 15 people were found underground by coincidence in the village of Lonquena in Chile. The bodies are found to be of political detainees that had disappeared. For the first time, it was proved that Pinochet's dictatorship was lying. Those disappeared had not gone abroad to join Marxist guerrillas elsewhere in Latin America. They had been murdered and their bodies buried under the ground. In the same year, Pinochet orders the operation Retiro de Televisores, so roughly removal of televisions. It consisted of the systematic exhumation of mass graves to prevent further discoveries. Exhumed bodies were dumped in the sea, into volcanoes, and scattered across the desert to negate that the killings ever took place. 1984. Exhumations start in the Avellaneda Cemetery in Buenos Aires. This was the first major exhumation performed by the Argentinian forensic anthropology team, a team created to investigate the cases of at least 10,000 detainees that between 76 and 78 were killed and made to disappear by the military junta. Due to the work of the Argentinian team, many more exhumations would soon follow in Guatemala, in Chile, Brazil, Honduras, Peru, many other countries in response to the genocides and human rights violations perpetrated by military governments across Latin America in the last 70 years. Investigations that continue until today. So this presentation is about exhumations across Latin America, but not only, mostly across the global south, or what I call the underground frontier. Exhumations are performed in the relation to histories of genocide, of ecocide, and other less visible forms of social environmental violence. While the development of forensic sciences has had an undeniable impact in addressing human rights violations, to grasp what is at stake with exhumations, we have to look far beyond the remit of scientific and legal forums. In such context, to exhume is never simple. What comes from below carries an excess that is hard to define, contain, or control. The word exhumation emerges from the medieval Latin exhumare, where ex means to remove, and humare, coming from humus, means soil. But to remove from the soil means equally to bring to light, especially after a period of obscurity. This is double aspect contained within the idea of exhumation, the removal of bodies from the soil so as to reveal or to give light, that is crucial. And yet the question is, what comes from below and what bodies are revealed? So this is the sound of gold as a binaural track. Let's look at another type of exhumation. 1513, European colonizers find gold in Choco, in what today is Colombia. 1546, silver was found in Zacatecas in Mexico. 1548, silver was found in Guanajuato in Mexico. 1556, gold was found in Mafil in Chile. 1559, mercury was found in Huancavelica in Peru. 1602, gold was found in the Maracá River in Brazil. 1606, silver and lead found in Oruro in Bolivia. 1620, silver is found in Cayoma in Peru. 1630, silver is found in Cerro de Pasco in Peru. 1693, gold found in Minas Gerais, Brazil, and so on. And when I say found by Europeans. Colonization was led by the quest for El Dorado. Endless exhumations, not only in search for the color that you see on the screen, the color of gold, but also for many other underground colors. The color silver, the red of copper, the black of oil, and today the white of lithium. An attraction for the underground that in just 2 centuries led to the death of 60 million indigenous peoples. In 1979, a farmer in Curionopolis, Brazil, discovers a nugget of gold on his property. He hires a geologist to conduct a survey, which confirmed that it was sitting on one of the largest gold deposits in the world. By the end of the week, thousands of people had descended onto the farm. This fragment of a larger photo taken at the time captures the architecture of extraction required, dividing the entire site into a geometric grid. Each gold digger was allocated a plot measuring 2 by 3 meters. They proceeded by digging each plot vertically, exhuming an entire mountain. This is the sound of the underground speaking. Today, sound-based technologies are at the heart of the search for underground mineral and hydrocarbon bodies. But as we've seen, those are not the only bodies under the ground. In 2010, the copper and silver mine of San Jose in the Chilean town of Copiapo caved in, leaving 33 miners trapped underground for more than 2 months. Caught deep in a cave, the miners' only means of communication with the outside world was a series of small boreholes drilled by the rescue teams. The case attracted global media attention. Finally, a steel capsule, Christian Phoenix, developed by the Chilean National Copper Company, Codelco, by the Chilean Navy and by NASA, was carefully lowered into the shaft. Vividly decorated in the red, white, and blue of the Chilean flag, Phoenix successfully lifted the miners to the surface one by one. The exhumation was broadcast across the world. A ratings agency, Coface, a French one, declared the rescue provided international investors with, and I quote, the image of a country where you can do safe business. Neoliberal, if only, President Sebastián Piñera stated at the time that the miners were taken from the bowels of the devil. But is it not the devil, or El Tío, precisely that figure which Andean peoples associated to the violence of colonial forms of mining? In 1990, the bodies of 16 workers are exhumed from a mass grave. This is also in the town of Copiapó. The workers had been slaughtered in October 17, 1973 by soldiers of the Caravan of Death, a military caravan that after the coup d'etat in Chile toured the country performing extrajudicial executions. Their bodies were dumped in an underground mine. The remains were recovered only in 1990 after Pinochet stepped down as president. Many recall these workers when, years later, the 33 miners were trapped underground in the same town. The son of one of the victims compared the exhumation of the miners to that of the disappeared detainees. He said, and I quote, "The mine rescue this week was so similar to how you rescued our relatives. They're also down a 600-meter deep open pit. The only difference is that we didn't use a capsule to lift the remains. We used a bucket for the few bones we could find." The heroic rescue of the 33 miners' bodies is in fact part of a far less heroic circulation of bodies from and into the underground, the blood of the earth for the blood of the people, the circular movement of extractivism. On the screen you have a photo of the identification process of Ernesto Guevara by the Argentinian forensic anthropology team. 1997, Bolivia. The remains of Ernesto Che Guevara are exhumed from a mass grave in Valle Grande after its location, unknown for 30 years, was revealed by a retired Bolivian general. 2000, Ethiopia. The remains of Haile Selassie are exhumed 15 years after his killing and secret burial. 2002, Nigeria. The remains of Ken Saro-Wiwa are exhumed from a mass grave in Ogoniland after its location was finally discovered. 2011, Chile. Salvador Allende is exhumed to investigate if the cause of his death was suicide or murder. 2012, West Bank. The remains of Yasser Arafat are exhumed to investigate if he was poisoned by a radioactive substance. 2013, Brazil. The remains of João Goulart are exhumed to establish whether he was poisoned as part of Operación Condor. Many more followed, many more bodies of leaders, many more bodies of men, many more disputes around grounds and territories. All across the world, the violence of colonial extraction has converted the ground into a site of struggle and the underground into a political resource. But how do exhumations work? (1545). This fragment of a larger painting by Gaspar Vergio depicts the exhumation of silver from Cerro Potosí in Bolivia, a mountain that would become the major extraction site in South America. For many Andean peoples, both mountains and volcanoes are kin, are sacred in the sense that they are literally the ancestors, part of one's kin, like an uncle or a grandparent. In response to that, in Potosí, the Virgin appeared in the mountain. Or in other words, the exhumation of silver from below was made equivalent not to an act of violence over an ancestor, but to the kindness of the Virgin. In 2010, El Libertador Simón Bolívar is exhumed from the National Pantheon in Caracas, where a team of forensic experts is assembled to certify the cause of death. Arsenic being the most probable culprit, the question was whether Bolívar's death had resulted from a slow process of drinking the arsenic-rich waters of Andean countries, or if he had been intentionally poisoned. The exhumation was also to contest the colonial iconography of the liberator. This is the official 3D reconstruction as approved by the government. There are actually competing 3D reconstructions. At a time in which many of the same dilemmas that Bolívar faced had re-emerged, namely disputes between Venezuela and Colombia, tense relationships with the US, a power struggle between Venezuela's government and its oligarchies, at that time, a state ceremony around Bolívar's death would confirm his life as important to the present. The purpose of the exhumation was the added value that the very search for evidence invests in objects. The bones of Bolívar allowing the revolution to be framed in relation to the constitution of Venezuela itself. What we'll now see is the exhumation as shown on TV on the following day and narrated by the President Hugo Chávez.
Ahí están entrando los equipos iniciales. Todo eso es dentro del panteón. Todo se hizo dentro del panteón. Ahí está el sarcófago. Ahí están oficiales, tropas de la Guardia Presidencial, liderizados allí por el vicepresidente Elías, el ministro de Interior Tarek, la fiscal general, científicos de España, de Venezuela, que tienen meses trabajando este proyecto. Ahí están adoptando el dispositivo para abrir el sarcófago. Todo se hizo con respeto venerable, infinito. Es el padre de la patria. Es el padre Bolívar. Traicionado, vilipendiado, expulsado de la patria. Murió llorando, murió solitario. Una de sus últimas frases: ¿qué puede un pobre hombre contra el mundo? Bueno, ahora no estás solo, padre. Aquí estamos nosotros. Aquí estamos tus hijos y tus hijas.
2011. Heavy oil is exhumed from the depths of the Orinoco heavy oil belt, is placed in a flask and brought to the Venezuelan National Assembly. Presented by Hugo Chavez, the crate of oil samples marked the end of several years of debate over the type of hydrocarbons that lay under the Venezuelan ground. Certifying the hydrocarbons as oil instead of bitumen meant that Venezuela had the largest oil reserves in the world. It also meant important sources of revenue for the state, helping to establish international alliances and funding a series of important social programs, including Misión Vivienda, a project of 2 million new houses to address the historic lack of basic housing provision in Venezuela. We should also not fail to notice the symmetry between the exhumation of the underground to certified hydrocarbons and the exhumation of Bolivar performed the year before. The two could be seen as parallel movements where a unique kind of statecraft is performed, the soul of Bolivar migrating into oil, animating the revolution. With exhumations, the body which is revealed is always set in relation to